I'm here with Becky Rhyno, the author of Simply Poetry, Reflections and Collections. This beautiful book is composed of poems and photographs from Becky, to lessons learned from a rambunctious dog named Frankie, to reminiscences about childhood, to finding inspiration from legendary women such as Maud Lewis and Harriet Tubman. This book will take the reader on a journey of emotions. Thank you very much for being here today, Becky.
Thank you for inviting me.
So how did this book, Simply Poetry, come about?
Well, I've always been much better at writing my thoughts and feelings than I am with the spoken word. So when I'm inspired by something, I just start writing. And, last year, well, the way that this particular book started and my poetry writing started was last year. I was missing my dad, and I started thinking about when we were kids and when he would come home from work and stuff like that. So I wrote a poem about him and shared it on social media so my family and friends could read it as well. And then after that, the poems just kept coming, and I kept sharing them. And my family and friends kept saying, oh, you should, write a book, publish them, public in book form. And I was hesitant about doing that because I don't have any formal training in writing. And so that's how the name of the book came about, Simply Poetry. It's poetry written from the heart and not from a university degree, if that makes sense, it's no formal training. It's just my thoughts and feelings written down. And so I wanted to let people know up front that it was just a simple book from a simple person.
Well, it's certainly not as simple as you're saying it. The poems are just beautiful.
Well, thank
so
you.
why did you choose poetry as opposed to any other type of medium, short story or things like that? Does poetry resonate more with you?
I chose poetry, like I said, because I've always been better at expressing myself through written form rather than spoken word. And I guess that's because of an element of shyness or self-consciousness that makes it easier to express myself on paper. And I've always been so impressed with people like Robert Frost, who can take you along, on a journey with them through a wood, through a forest or a snowy evening or something like. And I've always wanted to try and portray what I was seeing in nature because I love nature, and I just wanted to try that for myself, I guess.
Wonderful. Now, also in this book, you have photographs. With each poem, you have some photograph attached to it. And this really, I find, enhances the reader's experience. In some cases, you see family members or different locations that the poems are about. Can you talk a little bit about the selection process of choosing the photos for each poem?
Sure. Well, to be honest, the photos are really what inspired the poems instead of the poems, setting the scene for the photograph. I've been doing photography for a number of years just as a hobby. And when I'm out in the field doing photos, I try to create a photo that makes the viewer feel a certain way or makes them understand what I'm feeling as I see the photo. Like a photo of, for an example, of an abandoned house with a curtain blowing in the wind. It's just, that makes me think, wow, so many memories were made in that house. And to a lot of people, it looks like a rundown old house, but I see beauty in it because I know that there were children raised there and memories made there. And for me, it's a kind of sadness to see the abandoned houses, and yet there's beauty in that too. So really the photos have inspired a lot of my poems. And like Annie's Place, for example, Annie is a real person actually. And lives not far from my house, and she has a farm by the ocean. And so that I stopped one night when the sun was setting and it was shining on her fence in the barn. And then that photo is what inspired Annie's Place.
Very nice. Now, one of my favorite poems in the book is called November Gray. Can you talk a little bit about how that poem came about?
That poem, well, for me, the month of November means the end of the beautiful colors of autumn, and November is windy, rainy, and cold, and it leaves nature dull and colorless. And to me, it signifies the beginning of the long winter months and the cold ahead, and the end of soaking up summer's rays. So, and it's also expresses my feelings about growing older, that it's a realization that the carefree days of youth are behind me now. And there's a certain sadness with that, but I mean, I love my life right now, and my life is the best it's ever been. But I think everybody misses the youth, the energy and the spontaneousness of youth. And so as November signifies like kind of the end of the summer and things like this poem, this poem signifies my loss of maybe some my energy and my youth, and that's what it's about. So
now, do you have any plans to publish another book in the future?
No, but then again, I didn't have any plans to publish the first one, so
right. Right, so you never know.
That's right. So I do have quite a few poems written since Simply Poetry was published. But I think it would depend on the demand for one. If people mention it, if enough people were interested, I might consider it. But for now, they're just sitting in my leather journals on my bookshelf at home.
And you're writing poems still regularly?
Not as much as I was at the first. I was pretty on fire there at first with different things that I wanted to talk about and say, and it's slowed down a little bit now, and I'm working more now, so it's I don't have as much time to sit and reflect. So right.
But they're there in the back of your mind.
I'm hoping it's not like a one-hit wonder.
Hopefully not.
No.
Well, Becky, thank you so much for having this little chat with me. Simply Poetry is available at our Masthead gift shop right here at the museum at 22 Collins Street. So drop on by and pick up your copy of the book. I promise you will love every poem in here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Becky.
Thanks, Lisette.